Hello world, this is Zan. I'm going to be talking about my pretender design for my upcoming late age Caelum game where I'll be playing in Lucid's 2022 Dominions 5 tournament. Just round one, and I'm not too far in, maybe 15 turns or so. But as before, I want to do the pretender design now and also kind of talk about my thoughts going into the nation. And then later on, once the game is over, is when I'll do the actual national overview, and that's where I'm going to have all the actual experience. So if you're looking how to play Caelum, I recommend watching that one when it comes out. This is just kind of my thoughts going in, and this can help you if you're starting a game around the same time, or if not, help you, well, design a pretender. It'll follow similar format, a bit quicker format than my how to review a nation video, just because this is a pretender design. I just want to say the key things that lead me to making my pretender. That being said, we can go into we can really skip their lore. I'll talk about in the pretender design video. I think their lore is great, but we'll get there another time. For now, their national features, they tell me right off the bat that we're going to be cold resistant and we prefer cold scales, which is cool. We have a bunch of flying units. Excellent. Mammoths have their place. Mammoths and elephants are specialist units, and they're one of the few units that and I tell people this all the time. It's kind of funny. When they hear it, they get caught off guard. It's a unit that I want that unit to die as soon as possible after I recruit it. Like, if I can recruit it, send it into battle the next turn, and have it kill a bunch of things, but then die before the battle's over, I'm happy. That is happy to me. I feel like I have gotten the value as long as it's had a large impact. I don't want to pay its upkeep. It's expensive. Let's see, their magic is air, death, earth, and some water. It should also say some fire. They do have as good fire as they do water. Maybe it's less common, but it's at the same level, which is just one. Very rarely two. They have average priests and standard forts, which standard forts in the late age means citadels, which is pretty good. We can move on to their sites, and they have air 1, water 1, earth 1, and death 1, which these are all very good gems to have. Maybe not so much the water, but the rest of them are actually really good gems to have. I'm not the biggest fan that they're split up like that. So, you know, I prefer if it was maybe just like 4 air gems or 4 death gems, stuff like that. I think four air in this nation, I think 2 air and 2 earth would have been like about the best I could ask for. But I'll take the split. Why not? So following the sites, we can go into their troops. And now their troops, there is a lot to talk about with the units. So I'll start off with this list that I had written to some of the mentors just to get their opinion on things, make sure I'm not too crazy. I know a lot of people see me as crazy in how I play this game and how I look at things, but these are my opinions so far. So interesting to me, they have the Raven Guard, which is everything here is lightly armored. You can't wear heavy armor and fly. That makes sense to me. So they're lightly armored. These guys are stealthy dual wielders, so they can raid stealthily, which is pretty cool. They're super elite, so they're high in recruitment point cost, and they're really expensive, 16 gold each. Again, only on turn 15 now, so when I talk about this, it's kind of mostly experimental. So far to me, they seem lackluster. When in the late game, we can put buffs on them, like Strength of Giants, Weapons of Sharpness, Army of whatever. Quickness would be really good on them. I think they will be fantastic. Right now, I feel like they're just there to bully province defense and be stealthy raiders, and not even like good stealthy raiders, because they can't accidentally bump into something. They need to be somewhere that there's a 0% chance they're going to run into the opponent's army, and that the opponent doesn't have really good province defense, because they're very flimsy, in my opinion, so far. The next one we'll talk about is going to be the Iron Crow, and I think this one is actually really freaking good. Even without any buffs. I think this is like the unit to make, with some exceptions. The problem is it's 14 gold, and it's only slightly better than its cousin, the Broadsword Raptor. So the Broadsword Raptor, I think, they're better than the Light Lance variety, which we'll get to, but they're a little worse than the Iron Crow. They're the exact same unit, just Iron Crows are better. But the Iron Crows cost 14 gold, and these guys cost 10 gold. Iron Crows also double the recruitment point costs. So, which is not always too important, but for now we'll ignore that and we'll just say, okay, are Iron Crows 40% better because they cost 40% more gold, right? And I don't think so. I'd say I would happily pay 20 to 25% more gold for these guys because if you give me 1,000 gold and you say recruit your units, nothing else matters. No resources and recruitment points doesn't matter. I can get 100 of these guys, but only 70 Iron Crows. And I think in most cases, I think 100 of these guys will do better than 70 Iron Crows. Um, just their combat coverage, like the area they can cover, the people they can start attacking at once, um, but also, their siege strength. You have 200 siege strength versus I don't know how much the Iron Crows will have. Math is hard. Regardless, we're gonna move on. We're gonna have the armored light lance raptor. This one, I don't know about, because a lot of the other units have lances already. So this one's heavily armored, and I don't know if it has a spot. It's yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. Next, we'll have the ringmail version of the Lance Raptor, and this one's actually quite good. I think this one is an upgrade. This is a straight upgrade to the what was it? The Spirehorn Warrior. I think this is a straight upgrade to the Spirehorn Warrior. It dies slightly slower because it has what 5 more body armor than the Spirehorn Warrior. Importantly, it has an 18 protection helmet, which fighting humans often there won't be as many head hits because they're size 3 and humans are size 2. But when there is a head hit, they're going to have 18 protection. Whereas a Spirehorn Warrior doesn't have a helmet at all. So if there is a head hit, that Spirehorn Warrior is just straight up dead. So I like these guys. They cost 5 more resources, but otherwise cost the same. Obviously, they lose the magic weapons, but we'll talk about that. Uh, they otherwise cost the same. They just 5 more resources more, which is an Iron Crafter. One Iron Crafter can do 2 of these upgrades. So if you had 10 Spirehorn Warriors being recruited every turn, but then every turn you recruit 1 Iron Crafter, then you just swap those Spirehorn Warriors that were recruited, you swap them 2 at a time into these versions, which are a straight upgrade. Again, not counting the magic weapon. Let's see, other of notes, the Storm Guard. In the Middle Age, I really like these guys because they combine, that shock resistance, the cold resistance with heavy armor that has the ice protection. They also hit harder than because they're not the area clan. They actually have 10 strength instead of 9, so they hit harder than their cousins. They tend to be they're more skilled because their armor isn't as heavy. I really like the Storm Guard, but I think in the late age they're outclassed. That 14 protection that goes to 20 protection in the cold, I don't think makes up for it anymore. I think their time to shine was in the Middle Age. In the late age, I think it has to be the Ice Clads. And the problem with the Ice Clads in the late age now is that they're cap only. So they're really, really resource intensive, and they're cap only. Stormguard or recruit anywhere, Ice Clads are cap only. But I think Ice Clads are the way to go in the late age, depending on who you're fighting. Obviously, you don't want to fight it. You don't want to use them into, hot nations because they'll have like 9 protection or something really low in Heat 3. So you got to be very careful about that. But in Cold 3, I think Ice Clad are the way to go over Stormguard in late age. See, and then now the comparison to all of this is the actual Spirehorn Warrior, which I've mentioned. This is just kind of the baseline of which everything is going to get compared against because, well, they're really good at what they do for their price. They're not very good combatants. They're going to die in droves, but they have almost the same offensive power as everything else on your roster for dirt cheap. So you just make a million of these guys like mad and send them out and go do things. Now, in the late age, it's the same unit you had in the early age. So in the late age, they don't, by themselves, I don't think they cut it anymore because a 13 damage light lance with I think it's a 19 damage lance charge, 2 times their size because they're flying. It doesn't work anymore. It used to when people were lightly armored. I don't think it works anymore. You still have to do it because, well, early on, you can't afford giving all your units broadswords. And It's rough, but they're the baseline. They're the baseline. They're a great unit. I use them here and there to fill out the roster, but where you can, you want to use something else. The late age is not the early age. It's not the middle age. Things have changed. Um, things have changed, especially in other things. They fly in storms, and that was useful in the middle age where you were all about storm and thunder strikes and air elementals. Things have changed. Storms aren't as important anymore, so using units that don't fly in storms or aren't as cold resistant isn't as a negative to you. Okay, so we talked about that. Like we're 10 minutes in, we have not talked about the Pretender. We'll move on real quick to commanders and mages, and we'll just kind of lump this in to the same category. And again, apologize for the pauses. That's me marking down these timestamps for you guys. All right, so the commanders, we pretty much just have two. We have Flying Scout, which is freaking amazing. Recruit these guys wherever you can. Commanders, you have a Raven Lord and you have a Storm General. Raven Lords are kind of good because one, you can thug them. They have very good stats and they're ambidextrous. And when I say thug them, I don't mean like you're going to send them by themselves to go do things. I mean, they're going to be almost like battlefield assassin units. You give them a great sort of sharpness or you have them dual wield some sort of killing item and send them out to kill priority targets because you can have them on attack mounted, attack archers, attack whatever. You can have them sit and take all the buffs that you need them to have. So I think they're pretty good for that. They also leave 40 troops and they're stealthy, which is kind of clutch. And they cost 50 gold. 50 gold for 40 leadership, flying like that. That's a very good price for this unit. The Storm Generals, on the other hand, they're much better leaders, but you pay for it. They're 70 gold now. And importantly, they do have the same ice protection like the Iceclads do have, which means if you attack into Heat 3, you got to make sure you don't forget that these guys are going to have like 9 protection or less. Actually, no, they don't have Iceclad armor. They have Stormguard armor, so it's even worse. So just got to be very careful using them into Heat 3 because although they have more leadership and they look tankier when they're in your territory, when they go into the enemy's hot lands, their armor melts. You can always just give them new armor, but you don't want to do that. Mage-wise, I think the Iron Crafter is the highlight of how this game plays, or how this age plays. They have their Forge bonus, their Resource bonus, and their Earth 1. They're dirt cheap. They can't lead. I wish they could lead troops, but they can't. That's fine. But I think they're the workhorse mage that makes this nation work because of that resource bonus. So you can be consistently improving your troops as the game progresses and giving them more and more armor because the gold cost and the recruitment point cost tends to stay the same. You're just improving their armor, which is good. The caretaker, he builds tumbles. That's it. We're gonna skip this next guy. We're gonna go to cap only. The Harab Elder is gonna be the one doing everything for you, and it's important to note that every single one of them is going to be old age. Since they're all Death 2, they're kind of expensive and they're very useful. You could twice-born them. They're size 3 because of their wings. So when you do twice-born, it should only be 10 Death Gems each. And they make really good thugs when you twice-born them because they have, the air and the earth path. So they can magic phase everywhere. They can buff themselves. They can bless themselves. They're really good thugs. They're going to be your workhorse. The Caelum Seraph is a relic of the older ages that is kind of a safe option early on when you can't afford too many Harab Elders. Your other mage is a bit random. So this is kind of just, I want an Air 2 mage. I need it to cast things reliably. Your last mage, the Harab Seraph, 2/5 of the time, it's very good. It's either an Air 2 or a Death 2. Those two by themselves are fantastic. They need no help. 2/5 of the time, they need items or gems to make them work, which is when they get water or fire. If they get water, they can cast quickness, which is not that great on size 3s, but you'll take it. They can cast Frozen Heart, which is pretty good. They can cast, if you give them a water bracelet, they can now cast Quickening, and Quickening is actually very good for this nation. Fire, if you give them a Skull Scath, they can bane fire, or they can craft you lanterns to research. So that's kind of an important one, just not too much. And then if they get Earth random, then they're just 125 gold Iron Crafter, and we don't want that. So this Autonomy says, my troops are kind of important. You saw how long I talked about them compared to the mages. The troops are really important. I want to buff them. Well, my best buffing mage is the Iron Crafter. So, okay. Now this is finally going to tie into our scales 15 minutes into the game. Um, so I've decided my troops are good. My troops are resource expensive. My troops are recruitment point low. So it's not going to hurt me if I take turmoil, and I really want production because my mages, for the most part, are going to be buffing my troops. Otherwise, they're going to be doing some sort of like evocation or summoning skeletons or something like that. To note that air death does mean wailing winds, which is also great. And birds are really good at killing routing troops because of the stat penalties. Oh, I didn't talk about their sacreds or their mammoths, and that's kind of silly of me. We'll just skip some bit and say that right now they're not important. We'll just say that we don't need a bless and go from there. So that way we can actually talk about my scales and my pretender. So having talked about that, I want cold 3 because of how my nation works. I want high production, and I don't need order. Pretty cool. But because I also don't need a bless, I don't need to worry about a bless when designing my pretender. So if I'm gonna go scales, and a lot of my mages aren't sacred, so things are gonna get expensive real fast. If I'm gonna go scales, I should go order because scales work multiplicatively. Like taking order 3 and production 3 is significantly better than taking order 0 production 3 or turmoil 3 production 3. Significantly better. Not to mention, because I do have a +1 preference, going to an extreme temperature scale also isn't as bad as it is for most nations. It's only a -2 for my preferred temperature instead of -3. So that's also quite good. So I'm really leaning right now, just off the bat, toward making scales. And if it was up to me, I think I would have just gone scales, like pure 100% perfect scales, because I don't need a bless. And my troops are really good, and my mages eventually are really good. So I started, working around that, and I think, okay, I can take like some sort of thug bless for the Harad elders. I could take some sort of big scales so that I can afford everything at all times. I could get magic so I can get my research quicker. Maybe I can make my pretender cast them big global or something, you know. But then the roster for Game 13 came out, and this changed everything. Because in this roster has the Ermor player from my Archocephaly series and the Asphodel player from my Abyssea series, which, if you haven't watched those, in both of these series, these are players that um, oh, and I forgot to mention too, the Ermor player was in another game that I didn't upload. It's been mentioned though. I think Lucid uploaded a video about it where I played Miklin and he played some Mod Nation and he cripple fought me. So both of these players are players that have given up their game progress to fight me and then make sure that I don't win. They don't care if anyone else is winning. They don't care if I'm offering them peace. This is just straight up Zan must die, which in both cases I've been able to defend myself and win the resulting wars, but at the cost of I'm no longer a player uh, to contest the game, like the game winning. I'm not going to win the game due to their actions. Okay, so now I know. Okay, hold on. I can't go like imprison scales because I'm just gonna get rushed by these guys. Like if I spawn next to them, they're going to rush me and I'm going to die. So I need something that's going to stop them from doing that. And, well, I'm a very big fan of Titans. So I needed to go find a Titan that I can give the least amount of gear possible and defend myself out the gate with the least amount of gear, the least amount of spells from an upcoming rush. So I kind of went through the list of the Titans, and I ended up with the Anunnaki of Growth and Rebirth. Because although he is absurdly expensive, he comes with an innate Vine Shield. Like even though he's not holding it, he has the Vine Shield effect at all times. So as he's getting attacked, attackers will have vines entangle them. The nations that were attacking me are Abyssia or like in my head that might attack me would be no, not Abyssia. It's Late Age Satis and Tianqi, both of which have average. I mean, Late Age Satis has better magic resistance, but weaker attackers. I guess their Falchineers are really good. Their Falchineers could kill. Their Falchineers with like weapons of sharpness, strength giants, or whatever could kill one, but they don't have that. Regardless, I needed something to tone the damage down because they're high damage. It will be high damage incoming. And early on, I can't expect to have Temper Flesh, Iron Skin, Regeneration, Moss Body. It might not happen. He might literally just have a Black Steel Full Plate, and that's it. So I took this guy because he has those that property. He is a Titan. He has the property of having Divine Shield effect. He is immortal because most of my mages are not going to be priests. So I won't really have a chance to call him back if he dies. So him being immortal means he will come back on his own. Now he's spring immortal, which is arguably significantly worse, meaning if he dies in like the summer, he's gone for a whole half a year. So I need to be careful with that. And he also has strength of spring, which means he's stronger in the spring and weaker in the winter. So I double need to be careful about that. I don't know how it interacts with Pretender Domain, so we'll find out. But regardless, he's pretty good for those factors. On top of that, he has Earth and Nature already, which are arguably some of the better magic paths to have as a starting Pretender. And, well, I figured it could use some help. Earth and Nature off the bat would be great for an expanding Titan, but I want him as a dormant defender because I want some scales. I want some scales so I can proceed with my actual plan. In case I don't get rushed, I do want to be able to proceed with my normal plan, which is have good scales. So I need him dormant. And as a dormant defender, now the threshold for what would make him worth it to me changes. He needs to be able to wipe out entire armies, and he needs to do it in a way that they can't expect, which means I need him to magic phase. And he needs some method to wipe out the army. Now, late in the game, maybe I can have him do like Wrathful Skies if I make him magic phase with their magic. Because I could do Astral Magic, but the problem with Astral Magic is I don't have any Astral at all in my nation, which means the enemy can just magic duel him. So that's not an option. It would be great for my magic diversity, don't get me wrong, but it would be very greedy and risky of me to do so. So I'm going to add Air Magic to him. And now he can magic phase. He has good Earth Magic, he has good Nathan Magic, but he can't wipe out an entire army. So if I add Water Magic to him, just Water 1, now I have unlocked Moss Body and Foul Vapors, which makes him both much more difficult to kill, and he can wipe out entire armies at a time. And the Air Magic for the Cloud Trapezing also comes with Mist Form, of which both Tianqi and Late Age Satis' main units don't have magic weapons. So I think that's what I'd be taking, I guess, to bear. So now I have my chassis, I have an idea of what I want my scales to be, and I have an idea of what spells I need, so now it's just a matter of distributing the points. And maybe this isn't the best scales or Defender Titan or whatever possible, but I felt confident taking this, that I would not only survive the early game, but that I would be able to, if no one attacks me, be able to expand and scale rapidly, and just generally take advantage of being a flying nation with really cheap researchers in late age. Do I wish I didn't have to take Misfortune? Yes, I do wish I didn't have to take Misfortune. I hate Misfortune. But to make this work, some sacrifices had to happen, and that was one of them. Bless-wise, I mean, I could have left him with just Nature 3 as well, or even Nature 2. But I figured, you know what? My best mages are also old age. They're going to be dying of disease. They're going to be having their limbs fall off and getting afflicted. They're going to have less map move. They're going to have more encumbrance as they cast spells. So let me just get to Nature 4 because I'm already there. Let me drop one scale from somewhere and get Magic 1 and then pick up Unaging. And now I completely have eliminated the problem of, while not twice born and undead, my living mages will be young and able to be more reliable. And that will be my pretender going into this game. uh, Apologies that it took so long. I haven't recorded in a while. I'm sure everyone's noticed. Um, but hopefully I've explained at least my thought process going in on what led me to make this guy my chosen pretender for this, big glorious tournament. And yeah, let's hope it all works out for me. See you next time.